Gen Z, what is up? Gen Z, what is up? My name is Saadiq Spears, and I'm your host of It's Not a Podcast, man. It is a show. It is a show where we bring you the most pertinent topics pertaining to Gen Z, whether that's in politics, business, or media. The idea is to help you decode whatever you're seeing, to be able to be perceptive. For what? To build perspective. Okay. So listen, we got a slew of topics to get to, but we are hosted on the Perspective Media Network. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all the good places. But we have a slew of topics to get to today. So listen, government shut down. It's the first time since 2019 the government has been shut down. Bad Bunny has been booked for the Super Bowl. Insane. And I'm going to get into it. I'm going to do a deep dive soon about the Saudis buying up a lot of the cultural production in the U.S., but I'm just going to report on it today. And then, I want to talk a little bit about the new iPhones that's been released. I just had to buy one because my camera broke, but I want to talk a little bit about the ethics behind that and talk a little bit about how it's kind of standard for all these different companies to be exploiting the Congo. And although I try to look for alternatives, the Google Pixel, Samsung Galaxy, they all do the same. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, and I want to provide some resources on that because I think it's really interesting and how I went about buying the phone. Okay, let's first start off with the government being shut down. This is insane, but it's not really that insane because they've been threatening this for years. Okay, so the first government shutdown since 2019. Now listen. Dems are calling it a Republican shutdown, basically saying that the Republicans are holding it up. Republicans are saying that the Democrats are holding it up. The Senate or the Congress is controlled by Republicans. So the Senate and the House is both controlled by Republicans, as well as the president, the administration in general, is Republicans. So Republicans are deadlocking it, but it's because, or Democrats are deadlocking the bill that's being supported, and that's because they want to remove the Medicaid cuts that was put in the one big beautiful bill by Trump that was instituted a couple of months ago, or that was furthered a couple of months ago. Democrats basically want those cuts gone. Now, me as a person, I align with that. I would want those Medicaid cuts gone as well because it's very unnecessary, especially if you're going to add tax cuts right next to it. How are you going to fund the Medicaid cuts with tax cuts to wealthy people that literally do not need it? That does not make any sense. I digress. We're going to get back into it. So who is going to be affected by this shutdown? So essential workers, this is what I got this from Al Jazeera. Okay, so basically Medicare, Medicaid is fine. During the shutdown, FBI, CIA, DEA, and all of them are going to operate. So military personnel, essential workers such as law enforcement officers, military personnel, air traffic controllers will remain on the job, but will go without pay for the duration of the shutdown. Now, everybody without those agencies, which is crazy that they're not getting paid, but everybody else in the government, federal workers, will have to be furloughed, which means that they will get not laid off, but they'll go home without pay, and hopefully when they come back, they'll get paid. So that's what the shutdown kind of looks like. But all essential workers still work, but everybody else is sent home without pay, which is kind of crazy to think about just as a worker. Like I couldn't imagine that, and like as a corporate professional or entrepreneur, I just couldn't imagine that. But this is what happens when the government isn't funded, and why they need to pass a bill to get it done. So those are the agencies that stay, but most agencies are very affected. Now, why is the Democrats holding up this bill? They're holding up this bill because they do not want Medicaid cuts to happen from the big, beautiful bill. Republicans, they're fine with Medicaid cuts happening, so they want that bill to go through. Trump has been criticizing a lot of the Democrats that's been holding it up. And what's been happening is that the administration and Republicans are now threatening to fire federal workers that are furloughed if it prolongs too long. So the Democrats are put in a hard place because you have to decide. Am I going to hold this out where a lot of furloughed workers are not going to get paid? Furloughed workers are not going to get paid. And in addition to that, they're threatening that they might fire those federal workers. So now those federal workers' heads might be on a Democrat's jacket. Not necessarily, in my opinion, But that's how it's being positioned. And if they do give up, then they're going to be giving up all the millions of Americans that's going to go uninsured. That's the hard place that Republicans and administration has put Democrats in. And this is what I mean by, like, I don't even identify as a Democrat or a leftist, even though I am a registered Democrat. I don't identify as that because I don't really rock with parties like that, because I just wish that we could just get to policy. But aside from that, this is where I mean that Republican policies are just significantly worse sometimes. Like this deadlock that they got Democrats in of basically holding federal workers' heads over them and saying, all right, if you keep holding this out and doesn't let the bill go through, then these federal workers might get fired because of you. That's bully ball again. Bully ball, bully ball, bully ball. That's, like, why do we operate like this? Why as a country do we operate like this? We need to get funding. Okay, so this is the idea. And that's what I mean. I think I don't even want to get to that statistic, but I'm pretty sure black women out of all the layoffs have been hit significantly the worst. And when I think about federal workers, I think a lot of black women, I think a lot of our black people in general, black population, a lot of our work comes from federal work. So more furloughed jobs that might be getting turned into firings, and already they've been making cuts to the federal government. It's just crazy that this is what's happening. Like, this is what's being held over Democrats' heads just because they want to insure millions of Americans. And look at them. Like, this is how it makes it sound to me. It makes it sound like I'm riding for the Dems because of this. Can we do right by the American people? Can we? Okay. Many of these people may not return to their jobs, however, while the U.S. government has faced dozens of shutdowns before the current one, and federal employees have been furloughed. The White House instructed government agencies to prepare for large-scale layoffs, or federal workers in this case, via a memo from the White House's Office of Management and Budget on September 24th. That's crazy that they're holding that over Democrats' heads and saying that if you hold out too long, then you're going to risk all these workers that are furloughed to get fired. That's inhumane and bully ball that we keep seeing time and time again from this administration and now Congress. Man, I mean, that's it for right now within politics land, because I do want to get to media land. We got some things to talk about and some business stuff to talk about. So off rip, I'm going to talk about Bad Bunny going to the Super Bowl. You know, it was released that the Apple Music halftime show for the NFL Super Bowl will be Bad Bunny, Benito, mi gente, Latino, come on. And this is following after his residency that was happening in Puerto Rico for, I don't even know how many months. It was months, but it was estimated that $733 million was generated for Puerto Rico. That's $750 million. $750 million. And you know how I know? Because my friends, they're not even Puerto Rican. My friends were flying out to go see that show. My friends were flying out just to go be next to it. And I made the mistake of not going. Never again will that happen. Never again will that happen. But it also follows the performance that he did on Prime Video on No Me Quiero Ir de Aquí. I don't want to go from here. I want to leave from here una más. Which is basically like the last night in Puerto Rico that he was doing his residency, and he streamed it. Mark Anthony came out. A bunch of people came out. And it was just beautiful to see for Puerto Rico, but also for the culture in general. Like, it was just amazing. And the take that I had on my Instagram was that it was crazy to see. It was just crazy to see him blend streamer culture and music and live concerts. Like, that was the first time I seen it done super well. Keep in mind that Kendrick also has a performance on Prime Video. There's other concerts like this, but the interaction that he had where he was going back and forth between the camera and him, and talking straight into the camera, then talking to his friends, then talking to the people in the house, like, it was just done very well. It was done very well. And for the fact that he is booked at their Super Bowl and people are mad, you just don't know what's going on. And that's okay. And that's okay, because listen, when I'm hearing no te puedo olvidar, when I hear what is it? Oh, what's it? What's it? The Paquito, ping, 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 ping. When I hear that, I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy. And no, I don't want to hear Billy Joel at the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. Keep that to yourself. Listen, I'll take the second biggest artist in the world, probably the first biggest artist in the world. And I'll take that. I'll take that. So I will have an amazing Super Bowl. And I'm pretty sure a lot of my Latinos is going to have an amazing Super Bowl. And the Super Bowl parties are going to be insane. Listen. If you don't know Bad Bunny, if you don't know his music, just go look up DTMF and just go listen to it. I'm telling you, it's just good music all around. You're gonna like it. You're gonna like it. So don't be a hater. You're going to enjoy it. And them Puerto Rico, them football parties and Super Bowl parties are going to be lit. Huh. I love being from New York. Oh my gosh. It's gonna be a time. It's gonna be a time. But I do think that people need to get out of their comfort zone, get out of their tribe, get out of their own little environment or bubble. Like, how could you be mad at this? If you knew what went on this year, if you knew the year that he generated $733 million for the country or the territory, wherever you want to, whatever. For Puerto Rico in a couple of months. I'm talking about flying people out, the resorts, hotels, Airbnbs, food, restaurants, everything, or the concert. All that is money. And if he could do that and generate that for Puerto Rico, man, what do you think is going to be the reaction of all the people around the world that love Bad Bunny? Think about that, because the NFL is thinking big picture. Jay-Z, who I think is running, him and maybe Live Nation or Rock Nation, is running live events for NFL. So they know what's up. They know what's up. Don't be the one criticizing what's in your friend group and not knowing nothing. Go listen to the album. Go watch that the show on Prime Video, and you'll see what we talking about. And you got time. Don't worry. Listen, I'm no Sabo. So listen, we both got time to go learn the lyrics word for word. Cause that's how it's gonna be. I don't care. Me no care. No me importa. Go watch the show. I'm telling you, it's amazing. It's amazing. Other news in media land. So listen, I want to do a deep dive, probably on Perspective, probably one of the real campaigns that we'll do. So make sure you're following us on Instagram on Perspective. Of course, perspective.network is in the description. But listen, this is very interesting because the Saudis, which has an investment fund, I think it's SIP or PIF or something like that, their investment fund has been buying up a lot of the cultural production of the states. What does cultural production mean, Saadiq? Listen, I got you. I know I'm a media I know I was a media professional. Listen, I got y'all. Cultural production is all of the live stuff that you see in your face, or the music stuff that you see in your face, or what makes America, right? People tend to forget, we have a great military, we have a great economy, but one of the biggest draws of America is our cultural production, our artists, our music, what makes America feel like America, that freedom feeling. Of course, it might stem from politics, but then it goes into the spirits of all the people that produce culture for America. An example of this is when they paraded around Louis Armstrong around the 50s and 60s during the Cold War, around that time, to kind of fix U.S. relations. They used Louis Armstrong, who had some of the biggest songs in the world at that time, is one of the biggest jazz singers in general. Let me put some respect on Louis Armstrong. They put him around America, not America, around the world, to be able to fix those type of relations. So that's what I mean by cultural production. People want to be American. I'm talking about years back. People wanted to be American, and a lot of that was because some of our stars, like Whitney Houston, etc. So why would the Saudis want pieces of cultural production? Well, they know what that is. They know what that results. Cultural production flows into soft power. Why? Because when people desire, what people watch, what people care about, is profitable. Which is why some of our biggest companies are, or some of the biggest people in the world, Jeff Bezos owns, I think, what is it, New York Times or New York Post, one of those. Rupert Murdoch, Larry Ellison, Elon Musk, all of these guys have ties to cultural production. It's that simple because it is soft power. So when the Saudis buy EA for $55 billion, or when they buy stake in Activision or Blizzard, which let me just name off some games from EA: Madden, Star Wars, what was FIFA before is now FC. Was it Sims? Right, I think that's EA. Now they own stake in Activision Blizzard. That's Call of Duty, Overwatch, World of Warcraft. Okay, they own stake in that. Oh, Candy Crush. Let me just ring off some other numbers. Within Alphabet, which is Google, they've spent $464 million. Amazon, $432 million. EA, $1.94 billion, which is prior, and then they bought it. And then Live Nation, $1 billion. Meta Platforms, $474 million, and Microsoft, $473 million. They have been eating up cultural production within the States. It makes sense. Now, I don't have a complete take on this because I don't know where they're going. I could look more into it, which is why I mean that I'm going to do a deep dive. But I wanted to report that there's key players moving right now. And obviously you've seen that the U.S. and Saudi Arabia has been coming a lot more closely, intertwined. I think that investment fund also spent or bought stake into DAZN, which is $1 billion as well. That's live sports. If you don't know DAZN, that's the boxing stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if they go buy a whole huge stake in Netflix. Why? I have no idea. But all I do know is that they recognize, like America has recognized, that our cultural production, which is one of our biggest assets, is soft power. And I'm glad the Saudis recognize that because, I feel like America recognized that, but Americans tend to forget how powerful that is and how powerful people desiring your country or people desiring wanting to be within your country is so profitable for the country. The Saudis understand that they might want to bring that to home or maybe change a little bit of the cultural production here in the States to make it more appealing to go to Saudi Arabia. Maybe that's the case. But all I know is Americans tend to forget that, which I think black people are a big part of the cultural production within the States. But now you have other nations that are taking keen investment and key eye into it and putting their money where their mouth is. So definitely interesting to look at. Let me slow it down. How y'all doing out there? I feel like the news have been a little bit interesting recently, but I feel like I've been a lot more in tune with like books and media, like loose media, not like social media, but like loose media, like the Ta-Nehisi Coates and Ezra Klein interview. That was a really good interview. I feel like people should go watch that. That was about the Charlie Kirk situation and their disagreement between that. I'll give a little bit of take on that because I saw DOS.discourse talk about it. I think the Ta-Nehisi Coates interview was pretty good, but I do feel like Ezra Klein was just not seeing it. And I feel like that divide between like what a black man and a white man may see that situation, just look at it completely different because the morality is just, you see a desensitized person to violence and you see a person that is not used to it. So when people have such a knee-jerk reaction in both ways, it's like, I feel like Ezra's looking like, how could you not have that type of humanity? And Ta-Nehisi's not saying that he doesn't have that type of humanity. Ta-Nehisi's just saying that I can't offer it to you right now because you never offered it to us. I think he's speaking directly to about Charlie Kirk. And that's my assessment. But I feel like a lot of people lose that. Like it's not that you don't see the humanity in the situation. I mean, somebody dying in that way is sad and terrible that we all had to watch it. I don't think anybody wants to watch somebody get bullets in them. But the way that he used to speak about so many other people when they received those bullets in them, or the knee on the neck, or the conversations he just had about just different marginalized groups. You don't get offered that humanity anymore once you took it. There's not a lot of grace that you could put, because at that point, you're furthering violence. And once you further that violence, it's hard to ask people to give you grace on that. I don't know. And I don't think that's hard to understand. But I feel like a lot of people, like Ezra in that moment, is looking at Ta-Nehisi like, how could you not have that type of morality? And Ta-Nehisi is looking like, how could you not have this type of morality? Because what I guess let me boil it down. And I know that y'all didn't hear the interview, so maybe I'm just talking over it. And I'm gonna close it out. I don't think a lot of people recognize what Charlie Kirk was doing as violence. And a lot of people see soft power or soft violence like it's not actual violence. And I think black people have got accustomed to seeing systematic violence, even physical violence like police brutality or something like that, but then just soft violence as all violence. And once you come to read like Frantz Fanon or like The Wretched Earth or something like that, then you get to see that portion where it's like, oh, all of this is violence because it's going to result in people dying, people not getting insurance, people not being able to support their families, and people going into a survival state, which then forces people into poverty, and poverty breeds crime. So it's all violence. And I'm sorry if I just had to sum up The Wretched Earth and Frantz Fanon right there, but go check out that interview and go check out Frantz Fanon. But yeah, just something interesting that was on my mind and on my timeline as well. What's been on y'all timelines? What's been on y'all timelines, man? Put that in the comments of what's been on y'all timelines. Because that Bad Bunny performance, I almost missed it because my whole timeline was just Charlie Kirk at the time. And all of my Puerto Ricans had to tell me, my Hispanic peoples had to tell me, yo, are you gonna miss that? Are you gonna see the thing? I'm like, what y'all even talking about? And then thank God, Oneda, shout her out. I'm glad she told me to go watch it, because damn, that was one of those performances where it felt like those like Prince, Michael Jackson, James Brown type of performances that you see on YouTube that you're like, damn, like, am I ever going to see a concert like this in my lifetime? That was one of those concerts. I'm so glad I got to see that like live, even though at my house, man, I was dancing like I was there. I felt like I was there. Okay. Diable mia me la quita. Diable mia me la... Okay. You can see I'm excited. So listen. Okay, so last, I guess, like real topic that I have on the board within the business snapshot. So I bought the iPhone 17 Pro. Yeah, I can see it right here. Bought the iPhone 17 Pro. I had a previous phone, iPhone 14 Pro. My camera broke, and if y'all don't know, I do marketing services. My business, Spear Creatives, I do marketing services for people, so I use my phone as a B camera to my A cameras. Now, although I was looking to buy a new phone, I had a lot of questions about it beforehand because I already knew the ethical concerns that Apple has when it comes to the Democratic Republic of Congo. If y'all don't know, I think 80% of the world's cobalt comes from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the Congo has been in a constant civil war with multiple warring militias for years. I think like this is like been going on for decades at this point, and most of those militias have been funded by, we don't know, either nations, countries, but all we do know is that a lot of those militias then are taking over the mines, employing children, paying them nothing, and then setting up a supplier, and with that supplier, the supplier somehow gets to Apple, Google, Samsung, and all these different companies and sells them cobalt. Now, Apple has been listed in a lawsuit from the Congo because of this, and it's been in recent news for the last couple of years that this has just been going on. So that puts a lot of Americans and people in general in a position of whether or not you should be buying an iPhone or phones, especially me, because I have ethical concerns within it myself and I have guilt. I do want to talk about, so in my pursuit All right, let me tell you my experience, and then I'm going to talk about my pursuit of looking this stuff up. So I buy the iPhone 17 Pro. The phone is not bad. As an upgrade to the 14 Pro, it works better for me, especially with the camera being so dead. The selfie camera is actually pretty good. But if it's a regular upgrade, I would say it's not necessary for most people. Now, I live in Brooklyn. So I go to the grocery store. It's a couple days after I buy the phone. Go to the grocery store. I'm in that grocery store every day. I go to that grocery store, and I'm ringing stuff up. I'm getting my shallots and onions. And she sees me with the phone because I'm about to pay with Apple Pay. And big smile comes on her face. Big smile. She's like, is that the new phone? And I'm like, yeah, it is. She's like, smiles again. She's like, it's expensive, right? And I'm like, I mean, yeah, but, I bought it for my business and stuff like that. I wouldn't have upgraded regularly if I didn't need it. And she was like, oh, okay. Keep in mind, this lady thought I was stealing 2 days ago, right? Like, she gives me a dead face every single time I'm in there. Every single time I'm in there, gives me a dead face. So I'm like, okay, this is already weird. A day later, I go into my deli. I'm in that deli all the time. He's never looked at me. This dude, maybe we lock eyes with each other, and then he'll look down, but he does not interact with me. I buy my water. I buy some 2 oats and honey bars. I need breakfast. I go to tap. He's like, smile comes up on his face. Is that the new phone? Yeah. It is the new phone. And he's like, oh, how is it? I'm like, oh, it's good. It's good. It's a good upgrade from my 14. My camera was broken, so that's really why I upgraded. But it's pretty much the same phone. It's not that crazy. Good updates, I guess. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about upgrading and stuff like that. And he's like, oh yeah, I have the 16 Pro. I go, why are you upgrading? Why are you upgrading? He's like, well, and I'm like, bro, don't upgrade. I mean, there's literally no point in you getting an upgrade from the 16 to the 17. There's no point. There's not even a big difference within the cameras and anything. They added a third camera, 48 megapixels, which is pretty good, but it's a zoom lens. I'm like, if you're not a camera person, there's no point in you upgrading with this. But I just brushed it off, and I'm like, okay. And I really want to talk about I just want to talk about that overconsumption. Like, it just rubbed me a little bit the wrong way, because why is people so, I don't know, so tied up on Apple, and now I'm gonna get a little bit into the ethics conversation. So there's an amazing article that was written. It's called Forced Labor in Apple's iPhone Supply Chain, written by Frederick Josaitis. I don't know, from the University of San Diego. I'll link it into the description. But it's an amazing article talking about kind of like the supply chain and the abuses that Apple has been going through. So looked at all of that. It is literally insane. And kind of like the conversation just happening. So I was like, okay, if not Apple, let me see what the Google Pixel is looking like. Let me see what the Samsung Galaxy, whatever one, is looking like. I go to look them up, and they're all sourcing it from the Congo. All those companies are sourcing it from the Congo. So there's no other alternative phone that does not source their cobalt and get it from unethical mines. So in mind, I'm like, okay, how much is it really going to cost Apple if they want it? This is why I'm just doing a wormhole, just business mind. How much is it going to cost Apple or these other companies to ethically source cobalt? Meaning, maybe if they still get it from the Democratic Republic of Congo, they might have to go through the government. Then the government will okay certain mines that they can go ethically source it from, or other places within the world, and just have to pay a premium. How much would it actually cost to do so? So, I did my little, I had to go into chat, had to go do some research, looked it up online, and it costs, let me make sure that I'm not lying about this. It costs about 15 to 45 cents per phone for that base cobalt if they were to pay. Meaning that it'd come out to almost $1 per phone that they had to pay extra. Now, we're going to scale that out. So y'all can understand what that means, right? The cost that it would be for 200 million units of an iPhone would be $270 million. That's the cost. if Apple were to institute this. Their profit, hold on. Their annual gross profit is well over $100 billion. To $700 million, $100 billion. They could easily accept this cost. These companies, not just Apple, but it's Samsung, it's Google. These companies can easily accept this cost. So what the question is, why don't they? Why don't they? Because it's not like they have to pass it on to consumer and make the iPhone more expensive. No, it costs them $1 per phone to do so. And it's not even it's not even 40% of their revenue. It's not even close. So the reason I'm saying this is because we're not dealing with a monetary issue, which makes it a little bit more scary. You're dealing with a status quo issue. These companies do not want to erupt their status quo. It might change supply chains. They might have to move things around, make different deals, and this might affect other minerals or other materials that they've been doing this in other regions. So I think us as a collective, if we're going to boycott, okay. If we're going to boycott, maybe Apple bends and the other companies follow suit. But I think we need to be a little bit more intentional with our collective narrative on how we're going to attack these issues. Because to be honest, it's across the board when it comes to technology. So maybe the overconsumption fact, and it looks that I'm being what's the word? Contradictory. But I mean, this is my business. So this is why I bought the new phone. But keep in mind, I don't overconsume, right? My clothes, I don't buy a lot of clothes. I don't buy a lot of everything, but I bought and made purchases for my business to be able to bolster it up. And I got to come to terms with that my own. So I'm going to have to be, investing into some charity just to get that off my own conscience, especially for the Congo, which I've been doing anyway. So if you want to look a little bit more into that as well, look up Shaka Bars. He talks about the Congo as well a lot. But I do just wanted to say that this is across the board, not just Apple. This is Samsung, Google. All these companies are sourcing it from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and it does not cost them more than $1 per phone to source it ethically. They're only keeping it like this because it erupts their status quo, and it might send shockwaves into other countries and other minerals where they're doing the same thing. So, if we're going to collectively boycott, I would say most people, listen, do not upgrade unless you need to. Like, I upgraded within 3 generations because I needed the camera. Keep in mind, my camera was broken. 3 generations. But most people do not need those upgrades. You don't need a 48 megapixel camera. You don't even know what I mean by that. The updated features, Apple Intelligence sucks. So most people should not be upgrading anyway every year. And I'm pretty sure Apple's starting to, one day they're going to move into not dropping every year, because this is what leads into the overconsumption. And when the shorty from the deli, dude from the deli and shorty from the grocery store started smiling big at me when they saw the new phone, I'm like, bro, relax. It is not that serious, because it's just a piece of metal. It's just a piece of metal, and I don't know. I just don't like people foaming over the mouth for the stuff that these corporations are doing evil for. So in my protest against it, I'm using my platform to speak up about it, and I'm also going to invest into a charity that directly supports the Congo, and look out Shaka to get that done. So yeah, just some points that I thought about when it comes to the new iPhone. I don't think it's that crazy. I like the design, but that's where we at. That's where we at with it. And no, everybody does not need to upgrade every single year. That's ridiculous. Especially up to 15 or the 16. Like you're ODing. You low key have better phones anyway. Like that 15 Pro, fire. 15 Pro Max, fire. Like, I actually had a reason when it comes to the specs. That's if you know specs, though. Let me slow it down a little bit. Again. I don't know if y'all investing into stocks. Stocks are moving again. And I'm happy because, damn, did I need that. And if you're not investing into stocks, listen, let me just give you a little thing. September leading into October sometimes, it's usually red. meaning that, more stocks are selling off, more people are selling their stocks or whatever, or the market just tends to do a little bit lower or a little bit less than it usually does, or it sells off. October, November, December, really November, December, and January, you're going to see a run. Well, I think you're going to see a run that's usually in line with the interest rates being cut, meaning that the economy is going to start spurring a little bit more because corporations and people are going to be borrowing a lot more because interest rates are coming down. So I'm expecting a Christmas rally, which means that stocks and the market are expected to go up in the next couple of months. So I think you should invest. I think you should start investing if you don't have a brokerage account right now. The reason why I'm saying that is because it's held my net worth for the last couple of months, and I've doubled my money multiple times in the last 2 years. It is really simple. It is really simple. You could really just pick 5 companies and keep investing, and you could start with $100 and go up to $1,000. I would say best thing to start with is like $500 to $1,000, because then you can see what shares do. A lot of people, they forget about investing sometimes, want to go straight to trading because there's money in trading and stuff like that. But them shares move. Do not get twisted. I bought 4 shares of, I think, American Express, and I bought a couple of shares of TSM, which is Taiwan Semiconductor AI company. Not AI company, it makes chips. And these companies are moving. CEG, which has nuclear power plants, clean energy, green energy, great company. These companies are moving. I'm not saying for you to buy them. I'm just saying these are some companies I only bought a couple of shares. Probably 3 to 5 shares I bought of each one, and each have given me a pretty good return in the last couple of years. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go look up a chart. Type in CEG, which is Constellar Energy Group, and look up stock price. Simple stuff. But I don't want people to keep missing out on this stuff because, to be honest, we are Gen Z. We are young. I'm telling y'all start this off now. I'm telling you. You start investing now. You don't have to worry much in your 30s because you're going to get it now. You're going to fumble the next couple of years. You're going to be like 25. By 27, you're going to get it, and you're going to be coming into money. So it's perfect timing. I'm talking to Gen Z that's at my age, but any age bracket, you should be investing regardless. But I'm trying to tell y'all because I've seen results, real results. I'm talking about real results. So just invest. Just invest. Take whatever excess budget that you do have and try to go invest it, because it's important. And people think that like you gotta be having mad dough coming in and have mad in savings to be investing. No, investing is really about the mindset. I was down to a very low amount, and yet I still did not touch my stock account. I was at a time not even making income, but I was like, let me just throw some money into the stock market, and if this is going to move incrementally in the next couple of months, I mean, I'm not going to use that money anyway. If you have X amount in your account, let's say 3,000 is an arbitrary number. Yeah, 3,000 is a good number. 3,000 in your account, and you've had $1,000 in your account for the last 2 years. That 1,000 should go straight into the market. Unless you have some upcoming crazy saving things that you need to do, or you have some big expenses might come out, like a medical expense or something like that. But I'm thinking that $1,000, if you haven't touched it for years, you're probably not going to touch it for the next year. So it might as well go in the market. Put that in the market into the couple of names I said earlier. It's not financial advice, but see what that does. I'm telling you, your money is not going to plummet. Worse, it goes down. Worse, it goes up $100, $200, but it's not going to plummet. But you're going to see how the market moves a little bit. So that's just my little bit of not financial advice, but just, homie advice. Try to get into the market, bump your head a little bit. It's not bad to bump your head, but it's bad to be out of the market. Don't be out of the market. Let your money compound and learn how passive income moves. Okay, I think I'm spending too much. I'm spending too much. I was just saying stocks moving again. Christmas rally's coming up, and trust me, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be happy. I got a couple of, contracts going at the same time. I got, my shares moving. And I'm just so happy, y'all. I hit a couple of goals in the last couple of months that I didn't know if it was going to be possible, but it was possible. It's possible. And I'm just glad that I had the opportunity to do this, and move in move in this manner. And I'm blessed that my family was supportive, family was supportive, friends were supportive, girlfriend was supportive. And I'm in a blessed space, and I hope that y'all are in a blessed space too. If y'all want some advice, if y'all want, put it in the comments. I'm not seeing enough comments, man. Put it in the comments. Let me know how y'all doing. And if you have any topics that you want me to go over, you heard it. So listen, man, this is the 11th installment of It's Not a Podcast. It is a show. And later this month, we will be having, a little interview. I'm gonna start the interviews out. I don't know if I'm gonna add it to the end of the show, or I'm just gonna make it a separate show for Perspective Media Network. Subscribe. But we're gonna see. I feel like this is a good episode, man. Media Land touching on Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl, Bad Bunny. Then the Saudis buying up a lot of the cultural production within the U.S. Insane. And then talking a little bit about, the iPhone 17 and the government shutdown, the first one since 2019. So we're in an interesting space within America, interesting space within the world. And I'm your host, Saadiq Spears, and I love y'all, man. Have some love and grace within your life. Be perceptive to build perspective. And we are out, Gen Z. What's up? Come on. What you say? I said, aunque sea de pequito, ping, 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 ping. I'm sorry, I don't want to hear Billy Joel. Bring me Bad Bunny. Bring it out, man. Super Bowl, New Yorkers, we about to be outside. I'm telling you, it's going to be enjoyable. And listen, I might be no sabo, but you're going to be hearing me singing that song. No te puedo olvidar, no. Listen. You're going to see. I don't want to hear Billy Joel. I don't want to hear no Elton John. Bring out Bad Bunny, mi gente latino. All right, man. I love y'all.